valuable tips, checklists for things you might need to do to be prepared for any emergencies or disasters prior to having to cross that bridge. So that's a little, what we call it, a tip. So that's it.
And I need to schedule some time to get together with you, Mike. We need to have a quick cup of coffee and go over a couple of plans. Okay?
No problem.
Okay, we will move on to our treasurer, Kelly Hensley.
Well, I've been just really busy with the appropriation ordinance, the estimate of revenue, and the draft of the budget, working hard with all the trustees. So as you can see, discussion only tonight, business items. Our audit is going to be scheduled for the first week of June. So I've been also preparing for the audit right now too at the same time. So it's been a little busy in the office here. Other than that, everything's going good.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, do you have something?
I do.
Okay, village clerk, Kathy Messler.
Let's see. Deputy Clerk Roseanne Stark and myself have been working on business license renewals, which Mayor Linda Soto will be delivering to all businesses. We are working on the website. Today we added the building permit form application on there, and working on a clerk's page, which will include FOIA forms, election information, solicitor permit information, ordinance information, and business and liquor license information. Next Tuesday, March 20th, polling place here at the Village Hall from 6 a.m. to 7. Last year I was here to close down. I come in the morning, I leave, and then I come back at 7. And there were a few people that were turned away because they were here after 7, and they do close the doors right at 7. So if you're voting, make sure you get here before 7. And then the committee, let's see, John, Trustee Daranoski, Mayor Soto, Stark, Deputy Stark, and myself were working on Hainesville Fest. We're getting emails out, letters, putting together vendor packets. Tomorrow, Deputy Stark and myself are attending a municipal clerks meeting of Lake County at the Round Lake Beach Village Hall on organizing and storing paper and electronic records. Attending these meetings and networking with the surrounding villages are really beneficial to all of us.
Question for you.
Yes.
It seems like you finish business licenses and turn around and then it's time to start all over again. It just occurred to me, and I don't know if it's legal or not, so I'm just asking, can we issue a 2-year license?
Never looked into that.
Change the cycle so that you're not, so it's just once every 2 years. We'll take a look and see.
Or any sort of multi-year, whatever that might be.
Never. The only problem that I would foresee with that is if, you know, like we have a lot of businesses that are really long-time businesses here in the village. The only thing I would foresee is if somebody, like some of these smaller places open for 6 months or 9 months and then they leave, we would have to state whether they'd get a refund or not.
Off the top of my head, we might, even if we have a graduated license, you know, we know we have some long-standing ones, maybe we give them a 2 or 3 year license, and a beginning business might only get a 1 year. I just off the top of my head, I don't mean to complicate it.
Yeah. It's something really to think about. I mean,
Well, let's start with exploratory. Let's have Mr. Rock tell us if it's even doable, and we'll start there. How's that? All suggestions are good.
yeah, doesn't hurt.
Worth exploring.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, we move on to the mayor's report. I have a few things. I will have Jeff be hanging this up, and everybody is welcome to take a look at this. A lot of you may know Officer Don Otto, long time in the community, was a Round Lake Park police officer, is now currently a Round Lake Park District Ranger, and he's a retired firefighter. And he's the owner of what was an antique police car, has been used in different parades and such. It has now been converted to a vehicle in recognition of the 10th-year anniversary or 10-year of the 9/11 event. This vehicle has been redone, and it's dedicated to the 343 firefighters, the 23 New York Police Department officers, and 37 Port Authority officers who gave their life in the line of duty. And this was a community effort. Obviously, Don is the owner of the vehicle and did all the work and donated his time. R&M Auto Body in Round Lake Park donated the paint. Graphics came from On-Call Graphics in McHenry. The facility was donated by our Village of Hainesville. The Public Works building next door is where the work was done. And Fine Line Automotive in Hainesville also provided additional work on the vehicle. So that's a picture of the vehicle. Take a look after the meeting, and we can pass this around for everybody to see. And we'll get that hung up, and it will be on display in different parades, and it will be making an appearance at Hainesville Fest as well. Wanted to go back to the IDOT and the school crossing. District 46 Superintendent Ellen Carell contacted me, and actually Greg Ruin and Police Chief Matt McCutcheon and I met with Ellen Carell and explored different possibilities, and they were unaware of how aggressive we had already been with IDOT. And I have spoken to IDOT, Tim Stoner, several times after receiving the letter very recently. And bottom line is, what we can do today that IDOT has absolutely no problem with and seems the right thing to do without question, and this was the plan B that Greg presented, was that we do have some room to move those school entrance crossing signs, and we can also install the flashing beacons on them.
Correct, and then also a small sign underneath it indicates a school sign. There's a school.
School ahead, yeah, school zone, yes.
They don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, and I emailed Ellen Carell today to that effect, along with IDOT's other comments. IDOT stated that they're firm on their stance on all issues and that they don't feel there's any reason to come up and meet and explore anything further. So that being said, we're going to move forward with the flashing lights, and District 46 was in agreement with that, so
Good.
that's where we'll go with that. And of course, the chief is still moving forward on taking additional steps with their own gear. The primary election is just around the corner, so I hope everybody gets out there and is involved and is doing their homework and is going to vote. We've been hosting township meetings here because of early voting taking place at the township building. Also, I've been busy still discussing things or hearing different views from the candidates. Also, some news. Yesterday, I attended a meeting at Lake County Department of Transportation, along with Al Maiden, the village planner. All village officials in Central Lake County were invited to attend and view a presentation and have discussion with the Route 53 120 Blue Ribbon Planning Committee. Everybody remembers the 120 Bypass Unified Vision Plan. And if you all recall, I was the one no vote on that issue, only because I opposed a very hefty toll being used to fund a portion of that road, a significant portion of that road, that you would only be traveling 9 to 10 miles on, and it was going to include lights and roundabouts. And I just fundamentally have a problem with that when I was told that that was in the neighborhood of $2.25 each way, $4.50 round trip. Ted, what do you want to say? You sound like you want to jump out of your chair.
Before you became mayor.
Or come to the mic.
Oh, okay.
We're going to give the former mayor, Ted Mueller, the floor.
Ted Mueller, the former mayor of Hainesville. I also was one of two that voted no prior to your no vote. We objected to the bypass.
Okay.
You may not agree with me, but there were two of us that voted to widen 120 rather than go to the bypass.
Well, now they moved on in a different direction, Ted, so that's, yeah.
I just wanted to say that I also was a no vote.
Okay, all right. Duly noted. What's interesting is, of course, we would all very much like to see Route 53 come through. And certainly very favorable about that. Now, this committee is somewhat promising because Illinois is going back to creating more stimulus, and it's going to be through IDOT. And I think there is a good possibility, or at least is the closest they've been, because it's the first time that I've seen IDOT come to the table. IDOT was there, had a presence, they're great interest in doing this project, so that is somewhat promising in the Route 53 aspect. Also, I just want you to note that the co-chairs of this committee, the one co-chair is David Stallman, who chairs the Lake County Board. The other co-chair is George Rainey, who is a developer who developed Prairie Crossing and has numerous developments through Chicagoland and other areas. So he's pretty well connected, and I don't think George would waste his time serving on a committee unless he has some serious interest there in moving forward on the project. Now, this is still early in the stages, and I did have concerns about some of the preliminary information sent and wanted to make sure that our comprehensive plan was duly noted in everything they're working on. CMAP is involved. That's the Chicago Metropolitan Association planning, and that's the benchmarks that we use for all of our counts and transit counts for the future when you do your comprehensive plan, and they're advocating doing the master plan of this project. What was interesting to me is when I questioned if they're going to work on these two projects together, let's say Route 53 is extended and 120 bypass becomes part of this project, does that then alleviate the heavy toll that would have been put on this very small 9-mile portion of road? I didn't get a clear-cut answer at this point, other than they're looking at tolling 20 cents a mile. So it kind of went in circles on that whole issue of how it impacts that particular section of the road. But what's interesting to me is I brought up again paying a toll on a road that has lights and roundabouts, and what was interesting was, oh, now they're not going to build it that way. I don't know when it got changed or how it got changed. I'm glad it got changed, but it's now becoming a parkway with a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. So I think it's really interesting that that 3-year project and all that votes and things that went to all the villages that somehow,
money they spent.
and now, yeah, and how that has changed. But anyway, we will stay involved on that and keep everyone posted, and we'll put an article in the upcoming, not the newsletter that's about to go out, but next month I want to get something in there. Other couple of quick notes before we move on. I very recently was approached by Jim Marriott, the owner of our strip mall here that houses Firestone, Subway, Mentos Cafe. We had an exploratory meeting this morning with Jim and his contracting engineer. Greg was present, Neil Maiden, our village planner, about possible further development there. They have a brand name interested in coming in there, and that's all I can say at this time. But it's very preliminary, and as you know, there's a lot of challenges, unfortunately, with that area. There's challenges because of the intersection being IDOT and Lake County DOT, and stormwater retention, et cetera, et cetera. But we have an exploratory meeting, and so everybody has their homework to do, and we'll come back to the table, and we will know shortly whether that can progress or if it's not going to be economically feasible because of those challenges. That's the big question.